Pablo Picasso by Ada Agba, Aaliyah Smith, and Haley Johnson. Había un niño se llamaba Pablo Picasso, que nació el 25 de octubre a 1881. Era pintor inspirador. Era viejo y sabio. Construyó cuadros. Tenía muchas mascotas. Tenía un perro, pájaro, reptiles y roedores.
Pablo Picasso was born and raised in Spain. His full name has 23 words. His father was a painter and an art teacher. He wasn't a good student, but he possessed a talent for art at a young age. His first drawing was at 9, and it was a man riding a horse in a bullfight. His first word was even lapis. When his family moved to Barcelona, Spain, he immediately applied for a spot at a prestigious art school. Even though he was too young for the school's standards, they let him in anyway because of his amazing portfolio.
Pablo Picasso's first job was in Paris with art dealer Pierre Minac, who agreed to pay him 150 francs per month. This job was the start of his well-known blue period. This lasted from 1901 to 1904. It's called this because blue was the color that dominated most of his artwork. During this time, he was very depressed due to the death of his close friend Carlos Casamas. His paintings were mainly of isolation, poverty, and anguish in shades of green and blue.
Pablo Picasso had overcome his depression by 1905. This was during his Rose period. His most famous paintings from this time are Family at Saltimbanques, Gertrude Nude, and Two Nudes. His paintings were made up of warm colors and beiges, pinks, and reds. During this time, he had fallen in love with beautiful model Fernande Oliver. In 1907, Picasso introduced a painting unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Les Demoiselles d'Avignon is known to have profoundly influenced the 20th century. This depicted 5 nude prostitutes, abstracted and distorted along with sharp geometric features. This was the beginning of Cubism. Cubist paintings objects are abstracted and very geometric. It is presented in a way that creates a collage-like effect.
Picasso's classical period was inspired by World War I. This lasted from 1918 to 1927. During this time, Pablo was fascinated with depicting reality. 3 Women at the Spring, 2 Women Running on the Beach, and The Pipes of Pan are his most famous creations from this time. After 1927, Pablo Picasso was swept up by the philosophical movement known as Surrealism. Surrealism was a byproduct of his own creation, Cubism. Guernica is well known as his most famous painting of all time. It was inspired by his outrage at the German bombings of Basque Guernica. It was painted in black, white, and grays, and truly captured the horrors of war. Guernica remains one of the most anti-war paintings of all time.
After World War II, Picasso became very interested in politics. He was a communist and was honored twice with the International Lenin Peace Prize. By this point in his lifetime, he was very famous and well known. His paintings were becoming childish with disgraceful technique. They were also painfully simple. Picasso states, "When I was as old as these children, I could draw like Raphael, but it took me a lifetime to learn to draw like them." His self-portrait facing death was drawn with crayon and pencil and looks like an ape with green face and hair. Although his technique was crude and the idea childish, the eyes held his lifetime of wisdom and experience.
During his lifetime, Pablo Picasso had many relationships, but only married twice. His first wife was a ballerina named Olga Koholova. They wed in 1918 and divorced in 1927. At the age of 69, Picasso married his second wife, Jacqueline Roch. Picasso fathered 4 children, Paul, Maya, Claude, and Paloma. Pablo Picasso continued to create art up until his death on April 8, 1973. Picasso remains as a well-known revolutionary artist.
Here's our works cited.